Thank you. Wow, and Michael, thank you for that beautiful introduction and for all of your meaningful support, guidance, and leadership in this incredibly important year. When I was in Summit last year in Philadelphia, when we were just over 4,000 fabulous people, I could not have imagined I would be here on stage in Seattle. When I was at my first Summit 16 years ago, I really couldn't have imagined this. Thank you all for being here, all 6,000 of you. And in this mass of beautiful, powerful leaders are my very first leaders, my amazingly supportive mom and dad, Rick and Julie. In this sea of new friends are my very first friends, my amazing brother and sister, Michael and Lauren, and my best friend, Melanie. And in this powerful group of teachers and mentors is my most cherished mentor, and a big reason I'm in this job today, my Aunt Anne. And hey, if all of you would have brought your families too, we'd be closer to 24,000. So next year I want to see everyone's parents here. I have been connected to Out and Equal for more than half of my career, but today I feel like I am here at Summit for the first time. I have known many of you for nearly 2 decades, but I feel like I am just meeting everyone right here on stage right now. Today, in my first major speech to Out and Equal's community, at what has always been the largest and most powerful gathering of LGBT professionals, D&I experts, and allies in the world, I consider it one of the greatest honors of my life to not only reintroduce myself, but to share what we have learned from you during our listening tour this year. And most importantly, over the next few days, to announce how we were inspired to work with you in this new era and incorporate some bold and innovation solutions into our new strategic plan. Solutions that address some of the most disturbing efforts to erase LGBT equality and enshrine discrimination we have seen in our lifetime. But before we get to where we're going, I want to first reflect on the year we've had at Out and Equal. This magical year has included energizing visits to some of the companies here with us this week, working with a brilliant and dedicated board on our new strategic plan, a trip to Brazil to be part of an extraordinary coalition fighting to ensure equality for our community, and learning from my passionate queer and ally staff who are the beautiful, exciting face of the new generation. I was privileged to join 50 other senior executives at Stanford's LGBTQ leadership program, and I even got to ring the opening bell at NASDAQ. And if that was not enough, today, we kick off a summit featuring unprecedented growth and innovation. Let me tell you something. Look around and take in the smiling faces in this room and tell me if you can feel the energy behind these mind-blowing statistics. You submitted double the number of workshop submissions, and in those we had more diversity in both content and presenters. You attended our leadership pre-con yesterday in triple the numbers of last year. You represent 700 of the world's Fortune 1000 companies joining us, and like Michael said, from 4,100 beautiful participants in Philly last year, you have helped us reach 6,000 this year, and you sold out Summit for the first time ever. Now, I'm going to share some big dreams with you this morning, but none are bigger than what you have shown me you can accomplish. Now, when I think about introducing myself to you, I feel called to do it in a way that our community does best. Is anyone worried I'm going to break out into show tunes? Not yet, not yet. I'm going to come out, right? If there's one thing our community knows how to do, it's to tell each other who we are. So I'm coming out. I'm coming out as bisexual and pansexual and queer. And I'm coming out as someone who struggles sometimes with having language to capture my full identity. I'm coming out as unsure, not of my attraction, but of how to describe it in a way that does it justice. When I first came out in my early 20s, I let people assume I was a lesbian. It felt safer. It felt like fitting in. And when you've never experienced belonging, fitting in feels like the end game, doesn't it? But I fought through that and came out as bisexual. I'll never forget a family member looking at me and taking a deep sigh and saying they wished I was just a lesbian. That would be easier to understand. Tell me about it. But I'm also coming out as pansexual and queer because I now know that my attraction stretches beyond the binary. I'm coming out as getting to be everything I know I am. And we can be everything we are. We do not have to choose. And we are all bigger than our sexual orientations. And so I want to come out to you in my wholeness, in all of my intersectionality. I'm coming out as a mother. I am coming out as a single mother. I am coming out as a mother of 2 young, beautiful, creative, half-Arab Muslim daughters. And I'm coming out as terrified of the Muslim travel ban because I never know when my girls will have their father ripped from their lives simply because he lives in the Middle East. Now, I spent most of June trying to shield my young girls from the news which was overflowing with heartbreaking stories of families separated at the border, of children being taken from their parents and held in cages. But no matter how well we try and keep the news from them, our children are paying attention. I'll never forget the morning after Pride this year, when my youngest daughter, Haneen, came down to breakfast. While usually a happy, carefree 7-year-old, she shuffled to the kitchen table that morning and collapsed into herself. She looked up at me, burst into tears, and said the police had captured 1,000 children from Pride Festival. Of course, it wasn't children being kidnapped at Pride. It was children seeking asylum. Is that any better? Is it any worse? To my sweet 7-year-old, it is the same. A children being taken away anywhere threatens the safety of children everywhere. And Haneen is right. I'm coming out as someone who believes families belong together. I'm coming out as a mother who works, as a mom who, a few minutes before a job interview many years ago, was nursing my newborn in the bathroom stall of PwC's corporate offices in Abu Dhabi, my fear reaching into my throat that I would not be seen as a serious leader if they knew how recently I had given birth. I'm coming out as someone who fought through that to walk into my job interview here at Out and Equal many years later to find our COO, Rachel, nursing her newborn baby, Ella, in the interview, in front of our board chair, Michael Cox, the global head of talent for Boeing, who mid-interview took Ella into his arms so that Rachel could focus on our conversation. I am coming out as someone who will not stop telling my story until all of us have workplaces like that, a workplace that supports mothers, fathers, parents. I'm coming out as a person of faith. I grew up in a church that believed who I loved would keep me from salvation, and that my gender would prevent me from achieving my dreams. A church where I never felt like I belonged, in which I came to reject in adulthood. I felt so angry and betrayed at this institution that if you had asked me in early adulthood if I was religious, I probably would have told you, well, I don't belong to that church. When I eventually discovered my chosen church, I realized I'm a spiritual person who wants to be part of a community. that I don't have to choose between spirituality and equality. I am now coming out as someone who is not running from anything terrible, but running towards something beautiful. And if you are defining yourself as something you're not in any part of your lives, join us in this moment, feel your wholeness, run towards the beauty of your possibilities, who you want to actively be in the world. I'm coming out as someone who works because I need to. Someone who has always worked because I needed to. When we talk about choosing between the career we love and the person we love, we are missing so many of us that may not be in a career we love, but in a job we need. I have worked as a cocktail waitress, as a barista, a temp, a consultant, and as a corporate executive in a job I had to be closeted in because I needed to support my family. And I am so proud of supporting my family. I realize now that the sting of being closeted while I worked in the Middle East is eased by the assurance that I am, indeed, more than any one moment when I choose the security of work over the beauty of authenticity. I'm coming out as a leader who is tough, who is strategic, who is tender, as a progressive voter. I am coming out as anti-racist, a cis ally, an able-bodied ally. I'm coming out as a coalition builder, and I'm coming out as a lover of art, of travel, of trapeze. I am coming out as a believer. And I believe in belonging. Could you tell? I'm not coming out as very subtle. Out in Equal's work has long been about diversity and inclusion, and we have made great strides on that front. And now it's time for us to evolve that work as we write our next chapter together. From this moment on, our work will be about belonging. In its simplest form, diversity is about counting heads. We need a gay man, a Latina woman, a transgender veteran, a different abled millennial. Check, 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 and check. We have diversity. Inclusion is more complicated. There's a turn of phrase in our work. Diversity is about counting heads. Inclusion is about making heads count. Inclusion is about leveraging and protecting differences. Inclusion is something a company does for its employees. Inclusion lives in HR handbooks, in healthcare policies, in CEI scores, and in D&I strategy. Diversity and inclusion are critical, and we will always push companies to understand the absolute need for diversity. And we must keep fighting to make sure that those policies include and protect our community. Out in Equal will never back down on expanding diversity or inclusion. But at the heart of our work, the focus of our attention needs to help organizations evolve from diversity to inclusion to belonging. Belonging is our holy grail. Belonging is not top-down. Belonging is interdependence. Belonging lives with each of us every moment of every day. Belonging is what happens when we replace isolation with connection, loneliness with community, and covering with authenticity. Belonging is what we do for each other even when our organizations are not looking. Belonging is our best hope for wholeness. Together, we will build a world where all of us belong at work, where we aren't just equal, we're thriving. Imagine a workplace around the world where we are valued, no, cherished as our authentic selves. Imagine knowing that you were part of making that happen, and imagine knowing that would not have happened without you, because it will not. But before we get there, I need you to take a leap with me. I need you to totally reimagine the possibilities of ERGs. I need you to say goodbye to the comfort of diversity, fly past the goal of inclusion, and jump into the great unknown of belonging. If we're gonna do this, if you're gonna be on this journey, take this leap with us. And together we will face a fight our community has not seen in decades. We're going to have to chalk down old ideas, truly hold each other accountable to the integrity of inclusion, and uplift the voices of people of color, of trans leaders, of our elders, and of our youth. And together we will overcome the most staunchly homophobic, racist, transphobic, sexist administration most of us have ever lived through. An administration that told researchers that we couldn't write the word diversity on NIH applications. An administration that is kicking out the bravest among us out of our military simply because they're transgender. An administration that would protect a baker's desire to not use rainbow icing over the civil rights of all Americans. And an administration that nominated a Supreme Court justice who doesn't believe in civil rights, who will not protect our community at work or at home, who will erase reproductive freedom as we know it. A nominee whose history has triggered millions of people around the world who have been assaulted by men just like him. An administration that wants us to choose fear and hate over hope and love. Now, I know we can fight this fight because we already are. LGBT people are running and winning elected offices all over the country. And just weeks ago, India decriminalized our community, a historic and transformative moment for millions of LGBT people there. And to anyone in our community living in the nearly 70 countries that are still criminalizing us, take note, we will never leave you behind. We will never stop fighting for you. Throughout the world, we're gaining access and visibility for our transgender community and bringing intersectionality to the center of our movement. And recently, Out and Equal, JP Morgan Chase in São Paulo, and many Brazilian activists wrote a letter in support of LGBT equality that was signed by 32 multinational and Brazilian companies. This visibly powerful convening of corporate and NGO voices was the first of its kind in South America and has sparked a national debate on inclusion just ahead of one of the most important elections in Brazilian history. We have a long way to go, but we are on our way. Now, this journey is not a sprint. This is a marathon. And I need you here, not behind me, but next to me. I need you here for this fight, for the long haul. When we are together, this feels easier. So let's be together a lot. And when we are apart, I want you to muster up the courage that I know is inside of you and use our battle cry. I belong here. I belong here. Here in this country, here in our military, here in the South, here in my church, here at work. That is our battle cry. I belong here because you do. And Out and Equal will be here for you every step. We'll support you wherever you are in your journey. There is no corner of your organization too advanced or too far behind to be a partner of ours. We will be by your side in this fight. We will whisper the battle cry into your ear. We will have the tools, events, and resources you need to be the leader you were born to be in your workplace. And together, we will cross the finish line as we will build global workplaces of diversity, inclusion, and belonging. So, just after college, I had an opportunity to live in Senegal and travel extensively through the subcontinent working with women journalists. While there, I learned a South African Ubuntu greeting and the inspiration at the heart of Out and Equal's new leadership work. The greeting is Sawubona. It means, I see you. So instead of hello, sawabona, I see you. And the response to sawabona is sikona, which means because you see me, I exist. As I think about my new role leading Out and Equal in this important moment in our community's journey, there is no better way to describe what we need than sawabona. I see you. We are now in a powerful moment defined by the coexistence of the strength of our community and the vulnerability of connecting our humanity. Our community is about belonging. It's about all of us, our support of and our commitment to each other. Sawabona, I see you. We see you. Can you say that with me? We see you. Again, we see you. Good. If you have been with me at any other point this year, you already know where we're going. Are you ready? Listen. If you are a transgender or non-binary person who has experienced fear, isolation, and exhaustion, trying desperately not to lose your job or your sanity while you transition or express yourself fully, we see you. You belong here. We will work together to better understand your evolving needs and perspectives, and we will get to the finish line of equality with you. We will never propose or support legislation that asks you to wait, that says you are next in line. No. We will be liberated together. If you are bisexual, pansexual, fluid, or queer, and have felt marginalized outside or even inside of this community, we see you. You belong here. We invite you to come out of the dark corners of our community and into a space where your queer credentials or identity will no longer be questioned. We need you on the front lines of this fight for equality. We need all hands on deck. I see you. I was you. I am you. If you are a pioneer member of our movement and you still have scars on your body and heart that you keep hidden, if you are still grieving for a lover, a friend, a partner, or a family member who has died of AIDS and you miss them, just wishing they could see us now, if you worry that your efforts, your stories, your sacrifice will be forgotten, we see you and we will never forget. We commit to weaving our communities' histories and stories together, from pioneers to the generations to come. Because while our fight is different now, our stories, our sacrifices, and our goals are the same. If you were a millennial, Gen Y, or Gen Z, and you didn't realize how many shoulders you stand on until you got here this week, if you don't know who Matthew Shepard was, and were afraid to ask how his death cracked our community wide open, we see you. You belong here. We are listening and will co-create spaces that leverage your energy and perspective. If you are LGBT and hiding your true self, maybe even hiding close by as an ally, we see you. You belong here. We know how dangerous coming out can be, despite how things play out on the big screen and in popular culture. We know that regardless of our community's wins and losses, that what you are going through personally can feel painful and scary. We are with you every step of your journey. If you are a person of color and you don't see your struggles represented in our fight, we see you. Your voices and your leadership must be at the center of our fight. Black lives matter. Intersectionality is our only path to equality. If you are an ally and you're not sure how you belong to this community, we see you. Say it with me. We see you. If you are differently abled and don't yet see yourself reflected in all the spaces in this movement, organization, or event, if you are here from a country where it's unsafe or illegal to be out, If you are a member of the Me Too movement, either a brave survivor or a supporter, whether you have come forward or are still carrying this terrible burden, and we believe you. If you are watching this event from far away because it's not safe for you to travel or because you cannot afford to attend, and if you were the founder of this organization, if you built Out and Equal with your heart, passion, and courage, if you were knocking door to door trying to build a movement none of us could have imagined. Celise, we see you, and we hope we're making you proud. And if you are on the board of directors of Out and Equal, you are the fearless leaders we have been waiting for. You are the superheroes of this organization and the fire bearers of our movement. Alan, Amy, Annette, Apoorva, Bobby, Deborah, Donna, Eric, Jim, Ken, Margot, Phil, Renee, Reza, Sander, Tammy, Tripp, and Michael. I thank you, and we see you. And if you are ready to join us in this work with every ounce of energy and your entire heart, if you are committed to joining this movement when all hands on deck are required, we see you. No matter where you are, who you love, or how you identify, we see you, we are you, we will always stand with you. Welcome to Summit.